Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My remarks will focus on certain aspects of the reform of higher education project in general, and Dr. Jamal's vision for higher education and his leadership of the project until he passed away. But let me start by saying that reform of education, for those of you who are familiar with the literature of IIIT, from inception, education was at the core of the IIIT vision. Even the idea of the Islamization of knowledge itself, implicitly and explicitly. Explicitly, there are certain aspects of it that are educational in nature. Implicitly, if you take any aspect of the Islamization of knowledge project and its plan, it presupposes a reform approach to the system of education to facilitate the introduction of the ideas that they came up with, such as a new worldview, a Tawhidi worldview, and all these broad and deep concepts that they introduced without an approach to the reform of education that is comprehensive and value-laden. There will be no realization of these concepts. So the reform of education is at the core of the IIIT vision and consequently its mission. So let me just take a few examples of certain things that Dr. Jamal himself pioneered and engineered, like the support of Islamic studies in American universities. This is something he was very passionate about. When the opportunities presented themselves, he seized the opportunity. But it has always been in his mind as part of the project itself. And that is what allowed him to, being the strategic thinker he was, to engage with vigor until some of these Islamic studies projects were rooted into Ivy League universities, and a lot of people, even within those universities, don't even realize the impact that Dr. Jamal and his leadership and his effort had on what they are enjoying or being there. You take Georgetown University, you heard Esposito. Without the intervention of Dr. Jamal, this Center for Christian-Muslim Understanding would have been history by now. But also there are other programs that were failing. The Harvard really didn't have any kind of like Islamic studies program. They have the Divinity School, and they had this Center for Near Eastern Civilization, but there was no Islamic studies program. The idea, there are professors, different departments teaching subjects related to Islamic studies, but there was no Islamic studies program. But now there is an Islamic studies program at Harvard University. It took too long to put it together, but it was realized. And without the focused attention and deliberate work of the group, the committee that included Dr. Jamal and his leadership, that would not have been realized. And other programs in the UK and the Middle East. But so why a focus on Islamic studies in these universities? Wouldn't it be more effective if we invested in our own university or college or schools? And these are questions that some people even within the IIIT universe of scholars sometimes are raised. What would be a better investment? But Dr. Jamal, being the visionary and the strategist he was, believed that investment in Islamic studies program is good for the Muslim community, is good for Muslim countries, is good for this country. And this is why he was part and parcel of the project, and the impact of it is obvious to many of us. I just want to mention just a couple of things. The engagement of major institutions like that in Islamic studies from a different approach, particularly studying Islam as lived experience. A lot of this is new. If you look at the Orientalist approach to the study of Islam, well, they study history as facts, while other social scientists may study Muslim societies, anthropologists and others, and others may even study theologies, schools of divinity, and others study Kalam, and that's Sufism, that's the extent of it. But the study of Islam as doctrines, as worldview, and as a system of values that have implications on the lives of people, that has not been part of the traditional approach to the study of Islam in the American academia. Now these new programs are introducing new approaches to the study of Islam, and a new reality is emerging that is counter to the traditional paradigm of the Orientalists. But at the same time, and this is my second point, the development of IIIT teaching capacity. As you know, IIIT has contributed to the establishment of universities, particularly the International Islamic University in Malaysia, which is now a universal university, and its students are all over the world. One of them sitting right on my right. I'm making significant.
Not any longer. That would be embarrassing.
A graduate of that university. So, but at the same time, they have developed their own programs, and the GSIS is one of the early experiments in education by IIIT. But throughout, our scholars have been engaged in curriculum development, in teacher training, and the integration of knowledge exercises. Professor Abdul Hamid has continued his effort in this regard, and others. Here in the United States, 10 years ago, we initiated a summer student program which brought together Muslim and non-Muslim students to learn about Islam in a non-traditional setting. And that allowed us to develop a better understanding of the needs of the new generation of Muslims and others, and how they approach the study of Islam, the culture of Muslims, the issues of Muslim world, and that was very useful for IIIT. And alhamdulillah, by now, the program itself has flourished and is well rooted and established, not only here in the United States, but also in other countries. Now we have one in Europe, and we have one in Turkey, and it's expanding to other parts of the world. And so and it's helping us in developing our own ideas about reform of education, because we experience the evolving needs of the students and the challenge of teaching Islam to them by their instructors first hand. And the third point is about engagement in projects of reform of education. We have our own project of reform of education, as Dr. Hisham has mentioned. Now, this project is a major component of our work. Dr. Hisham is the chairman of the Reform of Education Committee, together with Dr. Yaqub Mirza, and some work has been done, but I would say the project itself is still at its formative stage. We have a rich legacy to learn from and to work on, but it's still at the very beginning stages. What I wanted to mention is related to what Heidi Hatzel, the president of Harvard Seminary, has mentioned, and that is the relationship between faith and education. From the very beginning, and Dr. Jamal's vision particularly is a vision of faith-based education. And so it was quite natural to look for institutions like the Harvard Seminary who share that vision for joint programs. So when they came and they said, okay, we want to train Muslim chaplains, Dr. Jamal and his associates here saw immediately the value in that and its prospects. And indeed, the support that IIIT provided for the Harvard Seminary led to the emergence of a pioneering program that is now an example for Islamic chaplaincy program throughout the country. Not only that, the idea of Muslim chaplaincy itself is a novel idea. I remember I went to Malaysia and Indonesia a few years back, and then I was talking about Muslim chaplaincy. And some of these people got very interested. What is that? So I started about training Muslim chaplains to be in hospitals and schools, universities, and in the military. It was a new idea. And so we have supported the realization of a new idea in the realm of education that is now being emulated throughout the United States and indeed abroad. And then last but not least, the engagement of ICRD as a faith-based organization in its educational work. He provided Dr. Jamal a lot of advice to ICRD as it engaged in its reform of education project in Pakistan, and most recently in Saudi Arabia, a project that is still continuing. So my time is over.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abubaker. Dr. Ibn.